Okay, so I kind of selfishly want, I'm going to introduce Marty Miller, but I want him to, I didn't even give him warning. I want him to selfishly just say to all of us, good morning, like he says it on his 66-day challenge video.
Good morning.
So,
Good morning, Keller Williams. Funny with that, so small story, that was not intended, literally, like I did it once or twice, and then at that time, she was probably 5 or 6, and I said it, and then she said it back to me, like I was recording the video, and she was outside the office, and she's like, good morning, Daddy, and then it became a stop, so yeah, there
okay,
you go.
so I am just going to quickly introduce you to our instructor today. If you don't already know who he is, I want to make sure that you know who he is. Here's the visual. I'll have him run through this as well too. I'm just gonna go off of the heart and off of memory, and then you can cover any of the missed logistics. So Marty Miller has been with KW 11 years. He was a top producing agent before he did any of this fun leadership stuff that we talked him into, right? Keller Williams. He is a MAPS coach, MAPS technology coach specifically. And I was lucky enough for him to be my coach for, I want to say 2.5 years, which was awesome. And a lot of who I am today is specifically because I had him as a coach. So I'm not only an advocate for him as a coach. I don't know if you're taking any clients. Okay, so it could be a combo, just so you know. A big advocate for coaching in general, just because of my time that I coached with Marty. He was the regional technology trainer. He just left that role for the state of Texas, specifically the Southwest. South Texas is what they call it. It's the largest region in Keller Williams. So to put it in perspective, they have a market center in Austin. It's called Austin 1. That market center has as many agents as our entire region has. And so he was over a lot more than I am as a regional technology trainer. And then he just recently had the opportunity to move on from that role and purchase an office. And now he is the OP Keller Williams Premier in Katy, Texas. So lots on his resume, and I wanted him to come here specifically to talk to our leaders. We talked to our leaders this morning specifically about how we can help our agents most with technology. And all I asked him, so you guys know, like his resume speaks for itself. I asked him, what is the class that you not only love to teach, but you feel like makes the most impact as quickly in an agent's business. And this was the course that he chose. And so we're bringing you the best as far as an instructor, but one of his favorite classes to teach. So yeah, he flew 3.5 hours yesterday to come and teach us. And he's gonna fly 3.5 hours tonight to get home. So
Yeah.
it was a quick turnaround, but yeah, without further ado, Marty Miller.
First of all, really gives me way too much credit because a coach is only good as the actual client work and we're always good. So credit to you, young lady. So yes, my name is Marty Miller. Most recently, just stepped out of that regional technology trainer position in Texas. Did that for almost 5 years. Was in production, started off as a brand new agent, 4 months in, almost quit. Joined the team, became a buyer's agent, listing agent, VP of expansion, VP of sales, and then ultimately took over that team. We were a top 15 producing team in Houston, Texas, and now connected to a ton of agents in the Katy area. So if you do have any referrals for the Houston area, feel free to reach out. Happy to partner you with a strong buyer's agent, listing agent. Let me know what you're looking for. We'll make sure we get you connected. That's my beautiful family. So 4 amazing daughters. We'll pass around the wedding Venmo a little bit later, so you guys can support that cause. And then I have my twin brother on the screen. Got to see him last night. He actually lives in American Fork. So he is a retired U.S. Air Force colonel. And he's now a pilot for SkyWest. So next time you're on a SkyWest jet, look in that cockpit, if you see someone almost as good looking as me, you can say, you know, Marty, and it might be my brother flying that jet. So that is the family and the crew. We're going to switch decks. The course that I'm about to share with you guys was actually developed during COVID. And obviously during COVID, real estate got really weird, right? Were we allowed to go out? Were we not allowed to go out? What were we allowed to do? What were we not allowed to do? Bottom line, we didn't get to stop paying bills, right? And so for me, it was a way of creating a class that our agents could immediately start implementing while they had to stay at home. And the reality is that a lot of this stuff still applies today. So everything that I'm going to teach you today, my goal is that you actually take actionable items. 2-hour course, spoiler alert, you're never getting it back. Right, so this is 2 hours that you will spend together, and you can choose what you're going to do with it at the end. But my goal for you would be to actually plan out some actionable steps you intend to take after this moment. That is my real cell phone. Feel free to call me. No offense, I probably won't answer. But if you leave me a voicemail, if you shoot me a text or send me an email, promise to do my best to get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. First question always gets asked, can we have this deck? The answer is yes. Kimber will get it out to you after the class. Feel free to take photos if you like, but just know that you'll get a copy of the actual deck. There'll also be some additional resources. So one example of things that we can do is send out postcards. I'm going to send you around the room some examples of the postcards that I actually do, but I do need those back because I continue to teach this class. She'll send you the actual templates though, so you can rip off and duplicate the template if you like it. Cool. All right. So what is the key to creating $1 million real estate farm? What if I told you? What if I told you it was as simple as 6 people per day? 6 people per day. Now, I go to this slide, and a lot of times people get real curious. They're like, yeah, right, but I don't believe it. They're like, prove it. I don't know if that's possible. 6 people per day. Before we get into the real granular nuts and bolts, let's do a little bit of research, right? So, sorry. We'll work this. We're gonna. All right. Okay. All right. How many of you have a copy of the MREA? Raise your hand. Now keep your hand up if you've actually read it. All right, good. Just want to make sure, right? Because smart bookshelves don't create income. So in MREA, it actually tells us that based upon an average commission of 3%, now we know commissions aren't average. We know commissions are negotiable. Please don't get me in trouble with any of our FBI friends, right? But if the average commission was 3% in your market, and the average sales price was $250,000. According to the MREA, feel free to write down the 4 pages that are the most important in my mind, at least for this presentation for MREA, the first one being 178. That is the economic model. It teaches us that we would need to close 320 transactions in order to net $1 million. So when we talk about net $1 million, that is in your pocket prior to what you pay Uncle Sam. We all pay Uncle Sam something a little bit differently depending on our situation, but at this point, net means we've paid Keller Williams. We paid anyone that helped us make that $1 million. We paid our royalty, our company dollar, any of our splits with our team. If we have a team, any of that, all that's left is to pay Uncle Sam. That's what we mean when we net $1 million. So the question then becomes, all right, if it's as simple as just closing 320 transactions, how do I get to 320 transactions? First page you wrote down was 178. Next pages you write down are 186, 187 out of MREA. If you read it, great. If you haven't, go read it. If you read it, these are some pages you might want to go back to. 186 and 187 in MREA talk about the second model, which is the lead gen model. And what the lead gen model teaches us is that for every 12 people in your MET database, what is a MET? Don't overthink it. Someone that you have met, right? Yeah, a lot of times people are like, well, that's someone that you know that's in your database, and you can pick it up from down, and they know you, and they have full-time. It's just someone you've met, right? Someone that you've had contact with. They are not a stranger. So for every 12 people in your MET database that you market to 33 times per year. Now, spoiler alert, if MREA 2 ever comes out, that number will most likely significantly go up. So we're certainly not going to stop at 33. But per MREA 1, market to them 33 times a year, and you should expect 2 sales. What's the number we want to get to? 320 closed transactions. So how do we get to 320? Well, if I meet 12 people, I get 2 sales from each 100, but each 12, that's 6 sales times 320, we get to 1,920 METs. Who's got a calculator? Come on, half of you are on your phone right now. Pull it out. Let's go. Calculator on your phone. You ready? 1,920 divided by 365. Got out the answer.
5.3.
5.3, 5.2. Anyone ever met a 0.3? I feel like I've done some transactions with some 0.3s, right? But we're gonna round that up to what number? 6. Right? We're gonna round it up, 5.3 to 6 people per day. So if I made a goal of meeting 6 people per day, getting their contact information, and then putting that into my database, and then systematically communicating with them 33 times per year, I would be well on my way to creating a millionaire database. Everybody follow why it is 6 people per day. Now, inevitably, when I talk about this, there are some people that say, Marty, I don't like to work with people I know and have met. Right? They kind of get a little weird about the salesy. I like working with strangers. I don't want to feel a car salesperson. All right. The good news is that there's actually 2 models in the MRA lead gen model. So the first is your met database. The second is your haven't met database. For every 50 people, right? You don't know them, they don't know you. These are strangers. This is the phone book. So because you lack that knowledge of one another and the interactivity, we need more people. So for every 50 people in your haven't met database that you market to 12 times per year or once a month, right? 12 times per year, you can expect 1 sale. So if it's haven't met, how many do I need? Well, 320 closed transactions. If I get 1 for every 50, 320 times 50 is 16,000 haven't met. Now that's not quite as sexy to say it's 14 people per day, right? So we go with the met database, but if you wanted to go haven't met, there's still a path, 16,000 people, right? So I need to go source 16,000 people's contact information and then begin to systematically communicate with those individuals 12 times per year. 2 different paths. Which one are you on? Reality is probably neither, because you're on both simultaneously. Bottom line is that in order to close 320 transactions and net $1 million, you either need 1,920 people you know and have met, or 16,000 people you haven't met, or some combination of both. Most of us, if we looked at our database right now, have some combination of both, right? There's some strangers in there, so people's information we've sourced from other leads. We've never actually met them. We haven't made contact with them. They're still there. We hope Tom Cruise's number is actually a legit number, and maybe eventually he'll text or call you back. Spoiler alert, probably won't. And then you have all the people that actually do call you back. That's our goal, though, is to find out how can we create that database such that we get on our way to making $1 million. My suggestion is you might consider real estate farming as a way to build that database. Put 10 realtors in a room, line them up and say, what does real estate farming mean to you? You will most likely get 10 varied answers. So that we're all on the same page, I gave you mine, right? So that's what we're going to focus on today, is my definition of real estate farming, which is a marketing technique that's used by many successful real estate agents that allows them to develop a business in a specific area. Today, we're really going to focus on neighborhoods, right? A specific area, or market demographic. They quote unquote farm the area for leads and contacts. Wait a minute, Marty, now we're using different vocabulary. You were talking mets and haven't mets, now you're talking leads and contacts. Is a lead a met or a haven't met? Raise your hand if you think a lead is a met. Raise your hand if you believe a lead is a met. Okay. All right, raise your hand if you think a lead is a haven't met. All right, raise your hand if you're the kind of person that doesn't raise their hand when people ask you to do something. All right, perfect. I appreciate the transparency. So in this conversation today, a lead is someone you haven't met. Okay, that's that lead that comes in from, maybe it's a digital source. It's Facebook, it's Realtor, it's Zillow, whatever it may be. It might even be your sister's best friend's brother, whose number you get, but has yet to return your calls, emails, or texts. That is still a lead. In my world, they remain a lead until I have made what with them? Contact. That's how I know the difference. If we haven't made contact yet, you're still a lead, right? You could be my sister's best friend's brother, but that still doesn't mean that you're not a lead until you actually respond back. Then you become a contact, okay? So when we talk today about haven't mets and mets, just remember haven't mets are leads, mets are contacts. So we're going to farm the area for leads and contacts, as the name suggests, right? Farm. The Different ways we can do that would include direct mail, which we're going to talk about today, door knocking, which we won't, social media, we will talk about today, newsletters, not really, email, we will definitely talk about, and then some other forms of targeted advertising. So if you're in, you want to learn more, how do I determine where I would start real estate farming? Well, let me ask you, if you were going to choose a neighborhood, which neighborhood would you choose to start with? Why? She said the one I live in. Who said it?
It's close and easy.
It's close and easy, okay? Why would you say mine?
You know it, know everything about it.
Yeah. Where's the splash pad in the Falls of Green Meadows in Katy, Texas? But you don't know where the splash pad's located at the Falls of Green? Oh, because you don't live there, right? Trick question, we don't have a splash pad. So that might have been awkward if you started marketing the splash pad for my neighborhood. We need one, but we don't have, one, right? Winter trash days. Can you paint the door red or not? Do we have an HOA or do we not? We do this one, right? And where would you start? What neighborhood do you know the absolute best, right? Now, some of you might be thinking, hey, one, I don't live in a neighborhood. Or two, I don't like my neighborhood. You've got one choice. Move. So, right? That's like, that landed awkwardly. You don't have to move if you don't live in a neighborhood, right? But you have to figure out where you're going to start. I have had some people say, I'm going to start my neighborhood, even if I don't like it. Most people don't move to it. We can't wait to move out. And I said, well, why would you farm that neighborhood? Right? So what neighborhood do you know the absolute best? Second up, maybe it's not your neighborhood. You want to choose a different neighborhood, or maybe you're already farming your neighborhood. And now it's time to choose a second. So all things considered equally, including the average commission that you earn with your clients, there's no average commission, but you have yours, right? Where would you make more money, in a $400,000 neighborhood or an $800,000 neighborhood? So have you considered the price point, right? On average, I earn this blank percentage of commission. Well, that blank times 400 or that blank times 800, obviously I'm going to make a little bit more money in a higher end neighborhood. By the way, the postcards cost the absolute same, regardless of how much the house costs. The emails that you send to those inboxes cost you the same amount, regardless of what type of house the actual person lives in. So considering the price point of the neighborhood. Now, dominant realtor, is there someone in that neighborhood that's already doing really well what you want to do? Be careful though, right? Perception is not always reality. Are you sure they're dominant? Right now, you're all thinking about that realtor. You know the one, right? Her face is all over the shopping carts. His face is all over the billboards, right? You get their team postcard every other week. How would you actually check to verify whether somebody was dominating a neighborhood? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I go on the MLS and I look at their closings.
Right? Because if you ask the realtor, are you dominating the neighborhood? What are they going to say? Oh, yeah, I'm number one. Haven't closed a deal in 7 months in there. Right? So go verify that information. And what oftentimes you'll find out is that there's no real dominant realtor. If you had to guess at a percentage of closings for a neighborhood to become dominant, what number is in your mind? How many closings per year of the total closings, right, percentage wise, would they have to have for you to consider them or yourself dominant?
50%.
What'd you say? 15%? He's a little bit closer. I have asked across the nation, hey, do you have a neighborhood right now where someone is dominating? And they're like, oh yeah, immediately they think of someone. I said, no, I want to verify this. Now go look it up in the MLS. What percentage do they have? And it's typically 15 to 20%. Right? The reality is, and I'm sure it's the same way in Texas or same way in Utah, you can't throw a rock in Texas without hitting a realtor. Right? And that's with 180 hours of required education before you can get your license. If everybody knows a realtor, right? Whether it's someone you know, someone in your family, someone in your friend circle, a relative of a boss that you have to use because you feel guilty. So when you become dominant, you're still most likely only getting 15, 20, 25%. So when you start to think about how much would it cost me to get to that point, you need to start considering that percentage. If you say, I'm going to get to 50%, I love you. And probably not. right? Very few neighborhoods have any realtor, and go look it up. Go look up the neighborhood you're thinking about right now. Very few neighborhoods have any realtor. And I don't care how long they've lived there, or if their dad was the developer, that gets at 50% when you start doing the research, right? As far as neighborhoods go, if I told you, let's say 10 homes sold in a neighborhood, would that be a pretty good turnover rate or not? On what? How many homes are in the neighborhood, right? If there was only 10 homes in the neighborhood, pretty good turnover rate, but there's probably something we don't know. Oh, the highway's coming right through the middle of there, better get out, right? If there's 1,000 homes, that's not very good turnover rate, right? That's 1%. If you're starting to look at turnover rate, how many homes are in the neighborhood, which is the first question you need to determine. Oftentimes your MLS can provide that resource for you, right? How many homes are in this neighborhood? And then how many have sold in the last 12 months? Turnover rate is important because if you become the dominant realtor, and congratulations, you even make the miraculous number of 50%, but only 2 listings sell per year, congrats, you have 1 new listing to take. And you spend all that time, money, and effort, right? So what is the turnover rate for that neighborhood? What am I going after? What am I attempting to capture? Now, be really careful when you start looking at turnover rate, though, and I've had a few agents make this mistake. They say, Marty, that's amazing. The turnover rate is like 27%. I'm like, I don't normally see that kind of turnover rate hardly in any neighborhood. Can you tell me the neighborhood? And I go to look it up, and it's a brand new neighborhood with new construction. I don't know what it's like in here, but in Texas, typically, there's already a realtor assigned to all of the builders, and you're never going to get that business, right? They work for the builder, and they're going to take all of those listings. So you're factoring in 27% turnover rate when really the resale is significantly low. They've only been in the neighborhood for a year or two. Who's selling when they just bought, right? No one wants to be in that situation. So always take a look at new construction when you start to look at that.
What's a good turnover rate then?
10 to 12 is what I typically see. Right, when I'm doing this personally, we start to look at, and when we were on the team, we were farming multiple neighborhoods, and that was one of my jobs. Tim would say, go find the neighborhoods, and I would do all this research. 10 to 12 is what I was typically shooting. Now, price point, higher in neighborhood, I'm only getting 8%. Well, it might be worth it to go after it, right? Again, these are all the factors you have to consider, but that's one of the things to start looking at. And then again, it's the ROI. So it's 8%, but per listing, we would average $30,000. Might be worth it to go after that neighborhood than a higher turnover rate, but the average price point means we only make $10,000. So these are all things that you would want to consider when you start to put together what neighborhood am I going to go after? And then eventually you're going to start putting together a budget, right? How much am I going to spend in order to farm this neighborhood? And that's important to know. How much will I make if I capture blank turnover rate and blank capture rate?
Marty, do you have a number that, like, if your own neighborhood was a 3% turnover, decent price point, you lived there for 14 years,
Sure.
but it just doesn't have a turnover rate, we can just walk away from that?
Your own neighborhood, I think, is important to be active in, right? Because you live there and because people will expect, right? You know the neighborhood. I wouldn't invest a large amount of capital there. Right? So I'm going to show you some free strategies. I'm going to show you some paid strategies. The free strategies I would implement. The paid strategies I might question, especially if there was another neighborhood, especially in close proximity, that made more sense.
Okay.
Right? So, and that's the other thing too. Like, okay, I've got neighborhood 1 is my neighborhood. Neighborhood 2 is an hour drive. That probably doesn't make sense, right? Because they're not going to see you or your car or your participation in that neighborhood. You're not going to the neighborhood events in a neighborhood that's an hour away, most likely, right? So figuring out, are there any close by neighborhoods where maybe these numbers are a little bit better and there's not someone quite as dominant that I could go after? If apples to apples, right now, again, not knowing your complete market, each of your markets, because you're in various markets. But in Katy, we have a lot of suburban neighborhoods and a lot of them are cookie cutters, right? It's the same 6 builders and they just went from here to there, to there, to there. There's not a lot of difference in price point, build quality, et cetera. Then you can start doing the research and seeing some of them just turn over just because of the proximity, or it was a 3-2 neighborhood, everyone's moving to the 4 3.5 neighborhood, that sort of thing as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions on considerations for choosing a digital farm? No? All right, so you're in, you decided to choose a digital farm. How do I start sourcing the information for the people that live there? Right? Remember, we've got to build a database. We've now decided where that database is going to come from. How do I get the individual's information from that database? So the quickest, oftentimes and easiest way is just to go to the tax records. right? Most of the times, your title company can help you with this, your MLS may be able to help you with this. If you have things like Remine or RPR here, there's a lot of public data available as far as homeowners' information out there on the internet. The hard part is that oftentimes when you're sourcing that information, especially like from Remine and title company, you're just getting their name and you're getting probably the owner's names and the address. If you use, so there's two different ways that you can do when you start getting into postcards. We're going to talk about current resident when we come back. The more information you can dial in and put into a CRM, the better. Okay, so we'll talk about that in just a second. Now we start going after phone numbers and emails. Two things to think about here. The way they know you sourced their information or the way they didn't know you sourced their information. How many of you answer a call that says spam likely? Right? The phones have gotten really smart, even smarter than when I first taught this class, because spam likely didn't used to show up on our phone pre-COVID. Now it's starting to show up pretty regularly, right? Your phones are getting really smart. So you can go online to sites like fastpeoplesearch.com, whitepages.com, Remine if your MLS provides it, and source not only names and addresses, but phone numbers and emails. However, when someone calls you and you don't know how they got your number, are you excited about having a conversation with them? If you even pick up the phone, right? If you get emails from someone that you didn't give them permission to call you, are you excited about getting that email? Right? By the way, there's this whole thing called TCPA and massive lawsuits that are happening across the country, by the way, in multiple market centers I've been a part of. Not any of mine, luckily, but yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it's coming. It's just not a matter of if, it's a matter of most likely when, because agents just like to text people that aren't on it or call people that aren't on the do not call, right? Smiling, has it happened yet? Or are we just waiting? You're good? Okay, good to know. Don't do it. Bottom line, don't do it, right? So how do I get people in a neighborhood to willingly give me their information? Golf loves to work out, right? Golf, Peloton, is that a pretty popular thing here? I already give away a Peloton when you enter to win.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe even the tread, or if they're still doing the tread, the rower, whatever, right? The rower is the newest one. I give away a Peloton rower. Yeah, you're in?
Yeah.
Would you give me
Yeah.
the information if I was gonna give away? What about the green egg, right? The new barbecue, the hot smoker, a Traeger grill. $250 gift card to insert popular restaurant name here.
Oh, I thought you were gonna, I'm just gonna say Lululemon.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so I'm
Not
gonna give
like
away
a
some Lulu,
specific
right? That
brand.
might, whatever, where's the big shopping? You get the gist. I'm gonna have to give something away. All right, I'm gonna have to give something away. You're gonna have to enter to win. How would I advertise that? Well, I have access to the neighborhood. I could either door knock, I could flyer, I could get social media involved. I could just put it on every stop sign throughout the neighborhood, whatever that looks like, right? But when people enter to win, and you say drawing will be held on blank date, please include name, phone number, email, and address so we can contact you when you win. Will people give all of that information to you? By the way, caller will be identified from this number and you put your phone number there. Are they going to answer that call when you call?
Yeah.
Now, do you have to give it away? The answer is yes. Okay, don't be that guy or gal. Oh, nobody won, but nobody knows nobody won. They'll all talk, they'll figure out that nobody won. So make sure you give it away. Could you have someone help you co-sponsor that? Lots of opportunities there, right? Make partners with your vendors and see if someone's willing to co-sponsor, if they're on all the flyers and all the information, right? And DCPA friendly client way, and then a whatever the title company way is, right? But that's one way to start getting information. Who's ever heard of a reverse bold? You guys, some of you have heard of that, right? What's a reverse bold?
Basically, you get 100 people to call you in a day.
Instead of me calling 100 people asking for them information, they're all going to call me. So in order to enter to win, call this number on this day between these hours. Right? So instead of going to a form and filling out the information, they actually call you. And you have a conversation with 100 of them and another 100 of them leave all their contact information on your voicemail. And now I've started to get 200 additional people's contact information. That's another way to consider getting it. Right? So two different ways to start getting that information. Either way, are you going to capture everyone in the neighborhood's information? Probably not. Right? But you can start working towards that goal. And remember, how many do we need? We need 1,920 if we're going to make $1 million from that specific neighborhood. Now, some people may say, well, Marty, I don't have 1,920 people living in the neighborhood that I want to farm. Okay, so if we made 100K from our digital farm, we would only need 192 people. Is that a little more palatable? Right? And then we say, okay, now I need the next 192 to make 200K next year. And then I'll add the next 192 and I'll make 300K the next year. Right? You can see how that can stack up and add up. A lot of times people, they can't get around $1 million real estate. I coach a client, come a little off of it. I coach an agent and she says, stop talking about MREA. And I said, excuse me? And she said, stop talking to me about MREA. And I said, why? She goes, I will never be an MREA by choice. I said, okay, so what do you want to be? She said, I'm comfortable at $250,000 a year. I said, great, you're now my 250 REA. And that's how we have conversations now, right? But that still works. Can you still build a digital farm and make $250,000? And would most of you still be excited about making $250,000, right? So you got to figure out what your kind of guidelines are. But the bottom line is we want to start sourcing to start name and address. With name and address, can I build a millionaire real estate farm? How many contacts would I need? Say it loudly.
60,000.
16,000, right? Remember, Mets and haven't Mets, the haven't met strategy was 16,000. Could I go into the tax records and source 16,000 people's worth of information? I could, right? How many times am I going to reach out to them? 12 times a year or once a month, right? If all I have is their name and address, and I need to reach out to them 12 times a year, how would I contact them? Mail, right? So I would do direct mail. Now, many of you are already thinking about direct mail programs like Every Door Direct, those types of things, right? I love those programs. Many of them are very simple and easy. However, when was the last time you got a postcard from someone sending through EDPM? What did it say on it? Did it have your name? Or did it say current resident? Right? I'd like to help you sell your $600,000 home and I don't even know your name. Right? Are you going to respond to a postcard that didn't even have your name on it at that point in order to do transactions with someone that's in the neighborhood of 600K? So be careful about using some of those direct mail platforms. The reason that I always coach and train to Command is that in one specificity, when we do direct mail through Command, if I put your name and address in, guess what shows up on the postcard? Their actual name. Right? Their actual name. So some strategies when I start to put these people in Command. Number one, I want to source more than just the name, address, phone, and email. I want to source everything I can get. What are some other resources that we could use to source additional contact information? Like birthdays, employment, job history, those types of things. Social media, right? Where does everybody have their birthday? Facebook. Right, because nothing makes you feel better than HBD from a bunch of strangers. All right, I was so busy, I couldn't even type it out. Happy birthday, right? You can get it on Facebook, right? Oftentimes you can get their profile link, which can be added to a contact card in Command. You can get their birthday. You might be able to get common interests, right? Oh, you're a Texas Aggie fan too? Cool, I'm gonna put that in the notes, right? Oh, you're a Longhorn fan? Okay, I'm sad, but I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the notes too, right? Things you might start including in order to have more information about that contact. Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know if everybody knows about this, but there is a Chrome,
Yeah.
for St. George. There is a Chrome plugin that specifically will take all of the Facebook birthdays from your Facebook contacts and just straight up export it. So Facebook is a great source for the birthday, and if it can be pulled out from there and not clicking on each person and have a list of names and that data. So just Google Chrome.
You know who can teach you how to do that, right?
Chrome Facebook plugin. Yeah.
We know what Timber's teaching us.
When I learned that, I was like, oh, wow, that's a time saver, so.
Yeah, there was a time
That's out
and
there.
point way back when that you could actually source all the information from your contacts out of Facebook. And then Zuck got in trouble and stopped doing it, right? So, LinkedIn,
Are they gonna put that in Command?
no, legal says hi.
No.
LinkedIn, another great resource, right? To start getting information. I don't know, Kimber, tell me your name. Nate. I don't know Kimber, but I know Nate. Right, but when I look up Kimber, I find out that I know Nate and Nate knows Kimber. And now when I have a conversation with Kimber, I say, Kimber, where do you work? Keller Williams, that's funny. I know Nate that works at Keller Williams. Do you know Nate? She does, right? And now we're one step closer in emotional proximity because I cheated. I just went to LinkedIn and said, hey, I wonder if this person is on LinkedIn. Because again, remember, we have their name and address. So we're gonna source the Kimber Walton that lives in Utah, not the one that lives in California. And I'm gonna say, okay, I'm pretty sure this is her. And sure enough, we have common contacts. Because LinkedIn will show you, are they on your first line, second line, third line? They know people that you know, and now we're making connections. Right? The goal when you're working with these individuals, ultimately, what do we want to do? I want to sit across from a kitchen table and sign some paperwork. And in order to do that, I need to be closer to you in emotional proximity than the person coming after me or the one that came before me. And so if I can say, I know and you know, so therefore we all know, so we should sign some paperwork, right? Sometimes you got to manufacture those relationships. So LinkedIn is another great resource. In my world, and this isn't just theory, I actually do this with my neighborhood. You're gonna see real posts, you're gonna see real postcards, okay? So when I put these contacts into Command, I use tags heavily. So every one of the contacts that goes into my database that is part of the Falls at Green Meadows gets a tag that says Falls at Green Meadows. Right? That way, at any point, if I need to segment that group in order to send them direct mail, send them email, text them, call them, I have a tag associated with that contact to make it that much easier. The second tag that every single one of them gets is one that says Falls Owner 1 or Falls Owner 2. Why would I differentiate someone as Falls Owner 1 versus Falls Owner 2? Tell me more. He said direct mail.
It's on.
Yeah, direct mailing, because in Command, if you select the husband, wife, you're gonna double spend per door if you don't separate them.
First time I've heard that actually nailed the first time. Congratulations. Excellent response. Okay, you didn't hear him or didn't fully understand what he said. In Command, your contacts are individuals, right? So owner 1 and owner 2 are two separate contacts. So owner 1, it says Falls at Green Meadows. Owner 2 says Falls at Green Meadows. I go to send out my postcards. How many postcards show up at that address? 2, right? Now, how many of you go to the mailbox, assuming you have a partner or someone else is getting mail, right? And only get your mail? Right? Like I put Nicole's back in the post. She can get that later. I'll just bring mine in. No, we bring all the mail in, correct?
Yeah.
So the other question that I have for you is how many of you have postcards from realtors that look like this on your fridge? Right now, a big magnet, you're just saving it because it's such a great piece of marketing material. Where does this go immediately? Oh, you're so nice. Recycling. Are you from Austin? Right? Recycling, or in Houston, it just goes in the trash, right? Yeah. We just know that. You gotta come to grips with that. This is not on anyone's fridge. Right? I'm lucky that I live in a neighborhood where the mailboxes are at the end of the street and they have to walk all the way down to the door to throw it away, right? Sometimes it's just the end of their curb. So you get like 2 seconds of airtime before it goes in the trash. What's worse than sending a postcard to someone's house knowing that it's going to go into the trash immediately? Because they're not going to be like, well, I don't want this, I'll throw it away, but maybe Nicole will actually want it, I'll save it for her. No, they're throwing away both postcards, right? So that's why we do owner 1 versus owner 2. You nailed that explanation. When I send the postcards, I only target Falls Owner 1. I don't care whose name that is. I don't care if it's a he, a she, doesn't really matter to me what the gender is. No one goes to the mail and just says, I'm only bringing back my postcards. So regardless of whose name is on it, someone's going to see it. And I'm just attempting to capture that amount of mind share. When I look at the postcard, they might flip it over. They're like, that's the dude, the realtor that lives in the neighborhood. Yep, seen him, seen his kids. Okay, I know who that is. Okay, first try. You're just attempting to capture mind share repeatedly 36 times per year, such that when they think of real estate, they think of you. Right? Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain, So, this was an issue that I brought up when I very first joined Keller Williams.
Yeah.
So the way I cope with it is I have all the tags on one, I'm gonna say spouse,
Okay.
and all the, but I want the information for the second spouse, so I put their name in and I say, see spouse. And that's the only tag they get, so that I don't have any duplicates. And so I'm really interested to see why you bother to set them up beyond Like, what you give them all the tags beyond just what,
It's
Yeah.
coming.
okay,
Yep. So why would I have owner two if owner one's the only one I market to? Owner one's the only one I market to with direct mail. Owner two is gonna get some additional marketing. We're gonna dive into that in just a second.
Okay.
Cool. All right, so some additional tags you might consider. Why do I get their Facebook profile link?
follow them.
Go with it. Tell me more.
Geofencing with your.
I wish it was that cool. We're not geofencing with our Facebook profile. We're not there yet, but why else? Why would I get their Facebook profile link?
So you can see what they're up to.
Inevitably, I hate to tell you this, you're gonna have to call them. Right? So when you call them, it's awkward to be like, hey. What's up? Nothing? All right, got any real estate needs? No? All right, cool, thanks. The script we used to teach, some of us may still be teaching it. Transparency alert, I'm always really transparent. Do you know anyone's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the next 6 to 12 months? No? Could you think of anyone that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the next 6 to 12 months? No? Cool, all right, great. If you do think of anyone, let me know. Thanks, bye. Doesn't foster relationships. I want you to ask yourself this. Are you the person that they walk towards with questions about real estate? Or are you the person they walk away because you know they're going to ask you questions about real estate? Because if you're the second, you're not going to get as many transactions as you're the first. Okay, so some things to think about. Why do I get their profile? So I can ask them questions about what they've been up to. Hey, did you just get back from the Bahamas? I thought I saw something that you went to the Bahamas. We went to the Bahamas. We loved the Bahamas. Where'd you stay? We were at a Sandals. It was all inclusive. Did you have the beer? What? Whatever the questions are. You got a dog? I have a dog. You have a boat? I don't have a boat. Are they really that expensive? All the questions that you can start to think of because you're following them on social media. Now you have to be careful, right? Don't cross the weirdness lines, but you know what to ask about. That would be what? What's the reality of social media? Why are we putting things on social media? So that someone brags, someone notices, someone asks about it. How I did get a new boat. You saw that? Right? So they want you to ask about the things that they're posting about. So ask about the things that they're posting about. But if you don't have their profile, you can't click on it when it's time to call them and ask them about the things. So the tag either says has profile link or needs profile link. Do I want all of you going through 1,600 contacts looking for profile links? No. I want you to leverage that to someone that can do that for you. Teenagers are really good at this. Okay, so find someone in your world that you can leverage and pay significantly less than your dollar per hour to go find these profile links and add them to it. You could just tag everybody that says needs Facebook and then train them to go find the link, add the link, and change the tag. Now it says has profile, right? Mets versus haven't met, Sphere, VIP, and more, some additional tags. Any questions on how to get their information? Your success will be significantly greater if they know that you have their information. You may not get it as quickly, you may not get as much of it, but your success will be greater when they already know why you're calling and you gave them permission to do so. When you know the email's going out, when the texts are going out with permission, those types of things. And it keeps you out of hot water, obviously. All right. Yes,
I
sir.
didn't quite understand, now they're tagged or tag face. That last part, what do you mean?
So they're all gonna start off, if none of your contacts right now have profile links, because you didn't do that, that's not something you've done with your database. You're gonna go in and you're gonna bulk tag everyone that has falls at Green Meadows, so whatever your neighborhood is, right? You're gonna filter by that tag. You're gonna get 100 people, 200, 500 people, whatever. You're gonna bulk tag all of those people. Needs Facebook profile, needs FB link, whatever you create that tag to be. Then as you work your way through, hey, I saw Marty, I know that's Marty, I'm gonna add his profile link and I'm gonna change the tag, right? I'm gonna remove needs, I'm gonna add has.
Okay,
Because you only get 15 minutes to work on that project today. And you're only gonna knock out 10 people. But then tomorrow, you got 15 spare minutes, maybe you work a little bit on that project, or better yet, you leverage that to somebody. But rarely is someone gonna get all 500 done at once. So as they get 50 done, right, then the next day they work on it, they just filter by tag needs profile, and their group went from 500 to 450 and so on. Cool. All right, we've got names and addresses. These are habit Mets. And I want to change them to Mets, right? So I want to source more people's information, or I know they live in the neighborhood, but I don't know exactly where. Tax records weren't real good. I didn't have Remind. My title company didn't have any resources. I'm trying to get more habit embeds as well. How can I start getting people to provide me with their contact information? We talked about the giveaway. What are some other strategies? Two postcards, or excuse me, two Facebook ads that you can see on the screen, excuse me. Number one, there's a picture in the background of both of these Facebook ads. What is it?
There's a community playground.
It's a community playground. Which community playground?
For there.
Yeah. That playground didn't trigger anything for you. You looked at it and you're like, slide, that's it, right?
Wishing there was a splash pad.
There's no splash pad. There's a pool behind it, still no splash pad. But if you lived in my neighborhood, immediately you would recognize that picture. You can't drive in my neighborhood without driving past this park, clubhouse, and pool. So immediately you would recognize the photo. Now it's sort of subliminal because it's been grayed out in the background, but it's there to trigger you if you live in my neighborhood to pay attention. Right? Why do we put a picture of a cat or a dog on the ad? Because it's like, oh, I like dogs, and you stop. Right? It has nothing to do with dogs. They're selling some additional product that has literally nothing to do with dogs, but you stopped because you like puppies or whatever it was, right? So first strategy when you're building Facebook ads is use a photo that will trigger the attention of the people's attention you want triggered. Okay? Who am I trying to get to click on this ad? The people that live in the Falls at Green Meadows. So I'm going to use a photo of something that triggers them to realize the Falls at Green Meadows. And if they don't live in the Falls, they probably keep on scrolling. Am I disappointed? No. Why? I don't want their information anyway. I just clutter up my database. People that don't live in the Falls, I don't need you, right? I still take them. What's the first question though? Facebook ad. If you, yeah, front row can read it. Everyone else will just translate. Are you a resident of the Falls at Green Meadows? If you're a resident, what happens?
Pay attention.
By the way, they're not going to read the second sentence unless you capture them with the first. Right? So are you a resident of the Falls at Green Meadows? Immediately I think, I am a resident. Wonder what it's going to say. Or I'm not, and I keep scrolling, and that's okay with me. Right? I'm just looking to capture people that live in the Falls. So are you a resident of the Falls at Green Meadows? Then I'm going to give them information that they will care about. Did you know that home prices in the Falls have increased dramatically over the past 12 months? How dramatically? Tell them, right? Tell them how dramatically. Now, this is an example of A/B testing. Same exact ad with one change, right? Same photo, same layout, same text, same guy that used to have hair, right? The only thing that I changed was the copy on the actual ad. Now, 8.08%. Historically, when I ran this ad, the 3 years previously had been roughly 2 to 3%. And then boom, COVID happened and we went through the roof, right? Up to 8%. I was like, that's 2.5 times. Holy crap, that's amazing. That's a huge number. I thought people would be clicking on that ad like crazy. And then I ran the second ad and it said $52,919. Which of those two ads did they click on? Why? How many of you know what your home is worth right now today? If you had to give me a dollar value and I said you have to be within $5,000 of a true appraiser's value, could you tell me today what your home was worth? And we're realtors. Some of you are saying yes, some of you are saying, I don't know if I can get within 5K. They don't know what their home is worth. So when I said 8%, they said 8% of what? The number didn't make sense to them. They couldn't put their hands on that number. If I said $52,919, would you immediately know what you would spend that on? Right? That's a pool, that's a new car, that's no college debt, that's paying off credit cards. Immediately they said, wow, $52,900, I know what I would do with that. So when you start to run these ads, you start to think about the messages that you're going to say and make it make sense. I thought this number was significantly more powerful than this number. 3 times as many people clicked on this ad as they did that ad. Right? Because they knew what they could do with $53,000. They didn't know what 8% meant. 8% of what? I don't know. I can't do math, all those things. Right? So do you start running ads targeting the neighborhood. Now, who knows what the smallest radius is that you can target with a Facebook ad using command?
15 months.
15 miles is correct. 15 miles. Anyone know a neighborhood 15 miles wide? We call that the country, right? 15 miles is a really big area to try and target, but it's what we've got. Right, so we're gonna drop the pin as close as we can to our neighborhood, know that it's gonna be a 15-mile radius around it, but we've got to make sure that we're only targeting people that live there. Use the photo that triggers them. Use the text that triggers them. Right? Ideally, the people that will click on this ad live in the neighborhood, because otherwise they don't care. They don't want a home valuation about the falls if they don't live in the falls. Right? So there's another strategy. When they click on the ad, what do they start giving you? They give you your name, they give you the phone number, they give you the email. In order for you to do a home valuation, what do you need? Their address. So you're going to follow up, say, I would love to provide you with that complimentary analysis. The only piece of information I'm missing is your address. Please provide that. Now we have additional haven't met people into our database. Everybody following? Right? A couple of different strategies that we're putting out. So, go ahead.
How long do you run your ad for?
It's a great question. So how long should you run the ad for? These, I was running typically 10 days for $30. 10 days for $30. Now, there's been some changes since we were running these, and I think you actually have to go up now to about $3.50 to meet the minimum. So probably, if I was running it today again, probably more like $50 for 10 days. Right? Now, here's the funny story. I did all of this work. My wife I met in real estate. Right? She's a Keller Williams agent. So I actually taught at Ignite. So if you're single and you're looking to meet somebody, maybe teach Ignite. Right, worked out for me. I thought she was hot for teacher. She doesn't like that joke. And she came by one day and I was doing all of this work, building this neighborhood farm, and I was sourcing the people that lived in the farm. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I figured I should farm our neighborhood." So I'm working on sourcing all the contact information. It's amazing. I think I've got about 80 contacts so far that have either responded to the giveaway or they clicked on the ad. And she's like, "Well, why don't you just use the directory?" I said, "What directory?" And she goes, "Remember the second day we lived in this house?" Because we lived in a new neighborhood, right? We'd only moved in, we'd probably been there about 8 months at that point. She said, "Remember the second day we lived in the house and that little old lady knocked on the door and you said, if that's another bug salesperson or salesperson, then you're going to kick them off the property?" And I said, "I'll go ahead and answer it." I said, "Yeah, I remember that." She goes, "Yeah, that was Shirley." And I said, she goes, "Shirley goes to every house in the neighborhood that is a newly moved in person and asks them if it's okay to include their information in the directory." She goes, "You know, I have a spreadsheet with every person that lives in the neighborhood, their name, phone number." I literally said, "You didn't think this was important information to share with me?" And she's like, "What? You were mad about the solar people? I thought you'd be mad about that." Telling you in Texas, they knock incessantly in the first 3 months about someone you saw. I was so annoyed. And they don't care about the sign that says my baby's sleeping. Because the baby was, and they would ring that doorbell like it was one of his house. So, long story short, I moved into real estate heaven. Cool part was the majority of those hundreds that I had sourced was actually accurate. It was fun to like pair them up and be like, were you really giving me real information or not? The majority of it was accurate. On a side note, does your neighborhood have a directory? You know who should start it? You. Why does our neighborhood have a directory? Ever seen a missing dog and just know where that dog lives, but not know who to contact about the fact that their dog's out? Right? Ever had a house catch on fire in your neighborhood, but not know who to contact? Are they in the house? Should I contact them? I've run to the door, but the door's on fire. Ever seen a pipe burst? Y'all probably know what to do with your pipes, but in Texas, we don't know what to do with our pipes and they freeze and then they burst, right? Have you ever seen something happening at a house where you're like, I should probably contact the homeowners about that, but I don't know the homeowner's contact information, right? That's the reason directory was started. Now, again, Shirley, everybody loves Shirley and everyone gave Shirley their information. And there are some very specific guidelines around the directory that I may play in the gray area every now and then with, right? And yet, if you were to start that directory with that reasoning, could you start sourcing all of that contact information? And would you become more popular in the neighborhood by doing that? And would you then become the person that everybody walks towards and not walks away from? Because by the way, I don't know if you know, but we just had someone moving down the street. Did you get their information? Oh, no, I didn't know they moved in. Great, yeah, sure, come on, right? Walking down the street, get your directory, get your clipboard out. Still had a clipboard, okay? So some things to think about. Do I create a neighborhood directory? Running a Facebook ads, starting to source it. We're gonna come back to Facebook ads in just a second. I have a haven't met database. Now what? Right? What was that first strategy? 12 times per year, 1 time per month, and we all agreed, what would we send them? Postcards, right? Mail. We're gonna send them something. What do they care about, even knowing that it's gonna go straight into the garbage? Right? Aren't they curious about homes that sell in their own neighborhood? What does CMA stand for? And what is inside of a comparative market analysis? Sold homes where? Right? How do we determine the value of somebody's property? Just find out what their neighbors sold the house for, and then roughly put together a valuation of their home based upon what the neighbors sold their house for. Now, is Utah disclosure or non-disclosure state? Non-disclosure. Texas is non-disclosure as well, right? So I can't tell you what each one of those 4 homes sold for, but you know what I can tell you? I can tell you the average. I can tell you the average, right? So here's some examples of the actual postcards. I'll take a look, pass those around. Kimber's gonna send you the actual template so you can R&D it for your own use. There's 4 photos on the front of the house. This is an actual design postcard inside of Command right now that you guys can go use, but we'll send you the PDF so you can load it in Command if you want to rip it off and duplicate it. Okay, who took all 4 of those photos?
You did.
Yeah, that's a heavy lift, isn't it? Gosh, Marty, you have to drive by houses in your neighborhood every day looking to see if they're for sale, and if they are, take a photo of them. What are you doing every day anyways? You're driving your neighborhood as it is, right? I don't have that big of a neighborhood. So I have myself set up on an MLS hot sheet, which notifies me every time a new property is listed in my neighborhood. I get an email as if I were a buyer for my own neighborhood. And anytime a new listing becomes available, I get an email. And what do? I drive by the house and I pray that there's no what in front of the house. Signs, people, dogs, cars, anything that would be identifying. Sometimes you have to drive by 3 or 4 times, so drive fast. Okay, and then they'll get weirded out. And then you take a picture of that house when the opportunity presents itself. Now, on a couple of occasions, I've actually had to schedule showings. Right? Gosh, Marty, you're scheduling a showing. You're going to get those people out of their house just so you can take a picture of it. Yes, and what did I do? I toured the property. Have you toured every listing that's available inside of your neighborhood? Do you consider yourself a neighborhood expert? How are you a neighborhood expert if you don't know the inventory of your own neighborhood? And when I say know it, I mean knowing it intimately. You've walked all those houses. Oh, yeah, I know that property. I know that property. I know that property. Right? If you're calling yourself a neighborhood expert. Now, if someone says, hey, I'm setting up a showing, yes, I'm previewing it for potential buyers. If the sellers would prefer that I not preview it for potential buyers, please let me know. I'll cancel the showing. What seller is going to say, no, we don't want you to preview our home for potential buyers? Right? And when a buyer comes along and says, we're looking to move in the neighborhood, tell me what you're looking for, because I already know all of the inventory of my neighborhood. Right? So you're taking photos of those homes. Then you're just putting it simply, how long did it take for them to sell? What was the address? Here's the photo. Now, last time I taught this, someone said, well, don't you think it'll be weird? Like the people that live in the house are going to find out that you took a photo of their house. And like, have you ever had anyone come back and say, please stop taking photos of my house? Who lived in the house when I took the photo of it?
Seller.
Right. Who lives in the house by the time the postcard goes out? The buyer. Does the buyer have a right to be mad at me that I took a photo of a house that they didn't own when I took a photo of it? So I've never had anybody ask me, but if I did, I would just say, oh, I'm sorry. You didn't actually live in the house when I took a photo of it. I won't do it anymore until you go to sell, right? So some things to think about. Don't steal photos from the MLS. Right-click Save As gets you in trouble. So some of you that are tech savvy enough to know what I just said, right-click Save As, stop doing it, okay? And if you don't know what it is, don't try it. Go take the photo yourself, because photographers have copyrights. They have a living, right? Stop stealing their photography. Next up, at the back, right? Last month, last 12 months. Why do I put last 12 months? The developer at the Falls at Green Meadows is the only person, and now it's not him because he finally sold it, but was the only person in the neighborhood that could have a house that was over 5,000 square feet. He was the only person in the neighborhood that could have a house on a double lot. Right? He was the developer. He made the rules, didn't want anyone in the neighborhood to have a house bigger than him on a lot bigger than his. So when the developer goes to sell that house, which he did, do you think the average price for that month went significantly higher than a true average? Yes, right? Only house that's ever sold for over $1 million in our neighborhood. So that would have skewed the average like into the eights. And our average price point right now is about $650. Can you imagine the number of people that would have called to say, oh yeah, if you can sell mine for $8, I'll do it too. You're like, do you have 5,500 square feet on a double wide lot? No, okay, then we're not getting that for you, right? So the 12-month average was to help for anomalies. A couple of times we've had foreclosures in the neighborhood that sell for significantly less. I don't want people thinking, oh man, the neighborhood's going to crap because the average price point dropped into the 4s or the 3s, right? So you put that floor in the 12-month average as well. The very bottom left of the postcard, what does it say?
Falls at Green Meadows resident.
Falls at Green Meadows resident. Why do I say that? I'm not a stranger. I live here too. I live here too. If you're going to support anyone, who would you support? By the way, what happens in a month where no homes sell? Only has happened once. Not a single house sold that month, but I've committed, right, to this touch plan where they're going to get a postcard every single month. What do? Remember, this was all happening towards the end of COVID. And there was a lot of businesses that were struggling, including business owners in my neighborhood. So you make a post on Facebook, inside the neighborhood Facebook group, and you just say, does anyone in the neighborhood own their own business? And if so, would you be okay if I marketed your business on my monthly postcard series? You see, no homes sold this month, and I've committed to sending postcards out every month. So I just wanted to know if it'd be okay if I could market your business on my postcard. If you're okay with that, please send me an email, marty.miller@kw.com. 24 hours, 6 businesses, just like that. So what do? You get their logo, right? You get their business name or business link, whichever they prefer, and you put that on the postcard. And then you send that out to the entire neighborhood. I'll pass that around. Again, these PDFs will come to you guys. Do you know whose business cards are sitting at, what's the wellness clinic? I always forget her name. She's super sweet. Bottom left, I think. Yeah. Heartland Chiropractic and Wellness. Whose business cards are sitting on the front desk? Hers and mine. I joked someone's gonna call me and ask me to crack her back. Right? But she was so thankful that she actually puts my business cards on her front counter because in a moment, think about a chiropractor in COVID. You think they had a ton of clients? Yeah, come put your hands all over me in the middle of a global pandemic. You think they were struggling? Right? So in a moment where she was having some of her darkest days, someone just said, I just want to advertise your business. What was the first question they all asked me? How much? Free. Already committed to it. It's already part of my budget. It's already in my monthly, my annual budget for marketing. Second question. Why? Well, because I believe in helping people in our neighborhood, and I believe that when I help people in our neighborhood, eventually they will in turn help me. Right? And immediately the business card went on the front from the desk, right? I celebrate Christmas. You may not, but I do. And so in December, what's the postcard that goes out to the entire neighborhood? It's a Christmas card. So I choked up about my babies. The funny part is my family didn't get Christmas cards that year, but my neighbors did. Right? So you pass that around if you want to see it pre-savvy. That was just the 3 of them, right? First of all, why did I do that? I'm going to sit across the kitchen table from them, and what do I want to be in closer proximity to? Right? It's that emotional proximity. Do you know how many kids she has? I don't even know if you have kids, dangerous question. And yet, do you know how many kids I have? Right, by the way, 3 daughters in that photo. You're saying no to me? I've got 3 weddings to buy in the next 20 years, right? You're saying no to, you're gonna say no to those beautiful little faces. Get closer in emotional proximity, right? Now, again, I celebrated my holiday. I put that on there. I've had some feedback where people said, well, what if they don't celebrate your holiday? That's okay, right? I'm just gonna tell you what I celebrate. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna say anything negative about your holiday. You make that decision, what works best for you, right? But that's the reason why that postcard went out. Do you guys have homestead exemption in Utah?
Wait, can I ask a quick question?
Go ahead.
This is actually like a hot topic for me.
Yeah,
So I really struggle with the idea of making. Oh, sorry. No.
yeah,
So I really struggle with making the postcard be a business postcard for, specifically for the Christmas one.
Yep.
I wanna send it to the same people, but that's one where I feel like it needs to not be business, but it needs to be more like neighbor to neighbor.
sure.
So give me your thought process behind making it a very obvious business Christmas card as opposed to just doing it neighbor to neighbor. And did you do neighbor to neighbor postcards to like your immediate neighbors that you would have maybe done something?
That postcard went out to the same one as all the rest of them, 456 houses in the neighborhood. Okay, 9 times a year, they got one that looked like the one I passed around. They got a Christmas one, and then there's 2 others I'm about to share with you.
Okay.
Now, what's on the back of that postcard? Who's got it?
It's got business
Right? Did I change the information on the back? No, we still sold homes in December, or actually it was in November, because it was
Right.
December's postcard for November stats. We
Right.
still sold homes, still gonna provide you with the information. However, it's the holiday season, I wanna celebrate the holiday.
Okay, so you just made it a 2-for-1 and you didn't worry about it not coming across as less.
Yeah, what's even like, you had to come to grips to knowing that now pictures of my babies are going in the trash can. But it is what it is, right? That was just my way of getting closer in emotional proximity to the people that live in my neighborhood.
And you don't feel like the people that actually were close to you that would have liked a personalized credit card, that they were put off by that.
They didn't know that I sent it to the neighborhoods. I didn't call my brother and be like, haha, you didn't get a postcard, but my neighbors did, right? Like,
No, but I mean, like your neighbors that you would normally mail a postcard.
I'm not that close to neighbors that I would have actually seen. That's all I
Okay,
did.
so that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to know, because
Yeah. Remember, I'd only been there for about a year at that point,
okay,
so I hadn't been in a lot of close relationship with the neighbors. They
okay.
didn't care, yeah. Homestead exemptions?
Yeah.
Yes, you all have homestead exemptions? Some states don't, right? So there are a lot of people that when they move to Texas, they don't even know what a homestead exemption is. So what should you tell them?
What it is.
What a homestead exemption is, right? Move from out of state, don't know what a homestead exemption is. Our neighborhood is pretty unique. It is cut right down the middle by 2 counties. So we straddle a county line. If you live in the front, you're in one county. If you live in the back, you're in another county. So you provide both counties worth of information. How would you file for a homestead exemption if you lived in the Falls? Here's the information, here's the website, here's the office, go there. Finally, in January, what do we always do? We look back, right? We do a year in review. So could you tell the neighborhood what happened the entire last year? Now, our neighborhood, again, was still some new construction, still some existing inventory. We're straddling that whole 2-year mark, 3-year mark of being new, so you break it apart. Some had average sales price for new construction, some of it had average sales price for existing inventory. Every single month, what did they get? A postcard. On the back, whose picture was on it? Was it content that they might look at for a little bit longer because it was at least intriguing enough to know what the numbers were?
Yes.
Did I capture real estate mind share during that moment? The quote I gave to you earlier was not my own, right? That actually comes out of MREA. It's from Dave Jinks, right? God rest his soul. But his famous quote was, my success in real estate is in direct proportion to the number of people who, when they think about real estate, think about me. So that's my question, right? Right now, fast food hamburger, just shout it out, go, fast food hamburger. McDonald's and In-N-Out. Are those the 2 most healthiest burgers you could ever have? No. Are they even the cheapest burgers you could ever have? Then why did you say it? Are they the best tasting hamburgers you ever had? But you all said it, In-N-Out and McDonald's, never fails. Why?
They advertise.
That you see them everywhere. Running shoe, go. Where I was gonna say, where are my runners in the room? I know Kimber's one of them, and I knew you would say that, because my wife's a runner. Nikes are not the best running shoes ever made. You don't even really want to run, and they're not that, Hoka's,
Yeah.
right? Or there's another brand that comes up often. Right? But why do you say Nike?
It's just well brand.
Because they're everywhere, right? High-end handbag, go. Where's Louis? Louis Vuitton, right? Is that the absolute nicest handbag you've ever seen?
No.
No, but everyone's carrying it. So I gotta carry it. Or buy my wife one to carry. Yeah, right? So when they think of real estate, are you the Louis Vuitton? Are you the McDonald's In-N-Out? Are you the Nike? Or are you that off brand that no one's ever heard of? These are some strategies where when they think of you, they think of real estate. When they think of real estate, they think of you. Next up, how many of you have a Facebook group for your neighborhood? All right, flip it. How many of you don't have a Facebook group for your neighborhood? Guess what you need to do as soon as you leave this class? Go create the Facebook group for your neighborhood, because you know who can't be kicked out of a Facebook group for a neighborhood? The person that creates it. Okay,
I was just gonna say, I only have like, I live on a private lane, 30 houses.
Sure.
I'm outdoors all the time, but I did start a Facebook page called Running the Heights because I'm a runner.
there you go.
And so I just post about running.
Okay,
When I remember.
so you already have a Facebook group then?
Yes.
You raised your hand and said you didn't.
No, I don't have a neighborhood one.
Okay, well, now you can create that one too. Because I guarantee you, there's still 30 people that have questions about what the other 30 people are doing. They don't have. Okay, all right, so your Facebook group. Now, what do you not post in Facebook groups in order to make sure you don't get kicked out? Spoiler alert, they don't care about your new listing. Spoiler alert, they don't care about your open house. Spoiler alert, they don't care that you sold the house, right? Because what is that not about? Then, what is that all about? Stop it. Okay, you're talking all about yourself, me. That is a turn off. You become the person they walk away from and not the person they walk towards. So what sort of information might you consider posting in a neighborhood Facebook group? Here's an example. Brand new to the neighborhood, right? Literally, I think we lived there maybe 2 months at that point. And I said, hey, neighbors. Who am I? One of your neighbors. Hey, neighbors, I'm working on a real estate neighborhood marketing video for my day job. What do? What's my job? Real estate, but did I tell you that? Hey guys, I don't know if you knew, I'm new to the neighborhood and I'm a realtor with Keller Williams. I just want to know, do you know anyone that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the next 6 to 12 months? Stop. Right? Tell them what you do without telling them what you do. I'm working on a video, right? A real estate neighborhood marketing video for my day job. And the first neighborhood I wanted to feature was ours. So we're still pretty new to the neighborhood. I wanted to know if you could help me. Right? What do you think the top neighborhood features are of our neighborhood? The video system lets me choose 3 of these features. So I figured I'd poll y'all to determine what you think the top characteristics are of our neighborhood. Feel free to choose as few or as many as you'd like. I appreciate your help with this in advance. Where did I get those neighborhood features from? Nope. Kimber, where did I get those neighborhood features from?
From command, from neighborhood nurture.
Close.
Next door,
Close.
from.
There are 4 campaign types that you can create inside, or excuse me, 4 design types that you can create inside of Command. You guys know what they are? 4 design types.
Direct mail.
Print, social media, direct mail, email, print. What did you say?
Social and direct mail.
No, social is a campaign type. So there's print designs, there's email designs. Social designs, nope, you're getting the campaigns. What's the last design type? I can tell none of you use this. No offense. Video. Did you know you could create a video design? In Command?
You can still do that.
I can give her some, you know what, just use my former client, right? Did you know you can create a video inside of designs in Command? The answer is yes. Now, don't oversell it. It is a 1-minute long video. It has music that is uber cheesy. And there are animations. The animations are extremely limited. Okay? Some of you are like, I remember that video from
Data.
2027 that Marty put out, or whatever, how long ago that was. Okay? There are features of this neighborhood marketing video that you can choose to portray in the video. And guess how many there are? About 40 of them. And there's an entire list. So if you went right now into Command, clicked on designs, click video, it would give you the option to create a video. And one of those, it would say, what's the neighborhood name? And you would put in the neighborhood name. And as long as that neighborhood name is in next door, it'll serve it up to you. And if it's not, just choose the Falls at Green Meadows. Okay? I live in that neighborhood. It's okay. Just choose that as your first neighborhood name, because when you get to the second screen, guess what you get to change? The name of the neighborhood. So rename it to whatever you want that neighborhood name to be. It's just going to ask you for statistics. right? So what are the statistics of that neighborhood? Now, if you choose the Falls at Green Meadows, it'll auto-populate statistics for the Falls at Green Meadows. But you go do your own research. What is the average price point per square foot and per property? Are they going up? Are they going down? What's average days on market? Are they going up or going down? Those are the statistics you get to put into that video system. And then it creates this little cartoon video, okay? But it's gonna ask you, what are the characteristics you'd like featured in the video after you put in your stats? And you get to pick 3. So what 3 would you pick? Well, why would you pick when you can go ask your neighbors to pick them? When's the last time you made a post inside your actual neighborhood Facebook group where you had 99 votes from your neighbors on it? 99 votes, because how much of a heavy lift is that? By the way, when you see a poll, aren't you just tempted to interact with it? I've been here since the beginning. He doesn't know this, but I was the first home in this neighborhood. I know it. It's this, this, and this. Right? 99 different votes. So when you say you're going to create a marketing video, what do you need to do? You got to actually create the marketing video. And when people vote in a poll, what are they now hooked on? Did I win or did I not? When you vote, don't you want to know the outcome? Right, even if it takes a few days longer than it should, we won't talk presidential elections, right? All right, so when you get to that point, what do you need to do? You need to create the marketing video. Now, here's the reality. I put this post up in the Facebook group and I forgot about it. Totally spaced and forgot about it. About a month later, there's a situation inside the neighborhood Facebook group. There's a post and it says, neighbors, I need your help. That's how it starts off. Neighbors, I need your help. My son went running this morning, and that's not unlike my son. But typically, he's only gone for an hour or so, and it's been 4 hours, and he's not back. By the way, he left his keys, his wallet, and his phone, and I'm scared. Can you help? That's what the post said. Right, so still pretty new to the neighborhood, 2 months in. My office faces the front, right? So we've got bay windows that look over the front yard. I look out the front yard as I get done reading this post, and I see people walking the sidewalk. KDPD rolls by about 2 minutes later, and then people in their little side-by-side gators are driving by. Our neighborhood is an old golf course. So the developer bought the golf course, it was out of business, turned it into a neighborhood, but we still have all of their lakes and the ravines and the ponds and all that kind of stuff. People are looking where you wouldn't want to be looking for someone. Because if you found them there, you knew that that was probably not good news, but they're looking no matter. And immediately it told me, at that point with $3, soon to be $4, we've moved into the right neighborhood. Because I'll tell you, the neighborhood we moved out of, thoughts and prayers. That's all I would have gotten from them, right? So it immediately kind of triggered me. I was like, you know what? This is a different neighborhood. And I made that post about our neighborhood and I never followed up. So what do? By the way, they found the son. About 2 hours down I-10. He was hitchhiking to San Antonio. Mom didn't tell us, but he and the mom had gotten in a massive fight the night before and he was basically running away. So they got him, got back home, all was good with the family. Right, and yet that was the kind of neighborhood where you're just like, okay, this, I mean, I would want people looking for my kids, God forbid they ever went missing, right? So you make the post and you say, hey, about a month ago, I made a poll asking about the communities, and if you recall, I asked you what you thought when friendly community, which was the #1, friendly community was the #1, and it wasn't even close. I figured, yeah, right, all neighborhoods say that. And then 2 weeks ago, you all showed it wasn't just talk. I watched the neighborhood rally around a mom and a teenage son. I witnessed 4-wheelers and gators, neighbors on foot and vehicle, and an outpouring of love and support like I haven't seen from neighbors before, who showed they weren't just random people on Facebook. It confirmed for me that my wife and I made a great decision for our family moving here. Thank you, Falls neighbors, for being such a friendly community. Can't wait to see it continue and grow with all relationships with all of you. P.S. Here's that video I told you I was making to feature the neighborhood. It's a touch corny, because it is, right? Your homework, now all of you, is to go into Command Designs and create a video. So you can see it and then own it, right? It's a touch corny. And don't ask me why the graphic for dog lovers, the #3 choice from our neighborhood was dog lovers, which is one of the choices, honestly, shows a farm with pigs. Because it does. That's the animation for dog lovers. That's the animation, but that's what it shows. Just thought y'all might want to see it. If you ever have any questions, feel free to let me know. And then you post the video, right? Is the video corny? Is it a little cheesy? Is it informative? Will people watch it? Will they think of you while they watch it? My success in real estate is in direct proportion to the number of people when they think about real estate, think about me, right? These are just additional touches that you can make to remind people in your real estate. What else when you're a tech person, right? Oh, when was the last time, that's the next slide, this slide, when was the last time the most expensive home in your neighborhood sold? And what did it sell for? Do you know?
$432,500.
How long ago?
We close on Wednesday.
Oh, you bought the most expensive house in the neighborhood? Or you're helping sell the most expensive house in the neighborhood? See, he knows that. Do we all know that? Transparently, I didn't know that, so I started tracking it. I was just curious. All right? When something happens like setting a record for the most expensive home ever sold in the neighborhood, do you think the neighbors are curious about that? Do you think they want to know? Do you think they would read a post about it? Am I ramming real estate down your throat right now, or am I just making you a little bit smarter about what's happening in our neighborhood? So you make a post. Hey guys, a new record was set this week for residential sales in the Falls of Green Meadows. HAR shows a record of 306 homes being listed and sold via the MLS. Now, if I had just stopped there, what would the haters say? Well, not all the homes are on the MLS. Well, no, stuff, Sherlock. So own what the haters are gonna say. Many builder sales are not listed in the MLS as a heads up. Right, so I'm telling you in advance before you get to tell me that I already know that not all listings go in the MLS. Right, so that way people can't comment, what about the ones that weren't on the MLS? Well, I already told you that I know that, right? This week we had a home closed for $599,111, the highest closed sales price ever, which broke the previous record ironically by $11,111.
Can you give that kind of data though?
Did I give the address?
No, but if it's not that big of a neighborhood.
Did I give the address? Non-disclosure state, can't tell them what property sold for what, but I can tell them a property sold for this. And if you go figure that out on your own. I know that some of you are concerned because what are they gonna say when we're setting records for home values in the neighborhood? Taxes, oh, what about the taxes? Oh, God forbid we pay on our most valuable asset that continues to increase in value. But they'll still get upset about it, right? So what do? Own the haters before they own you, right? Now, I know that some of you are concerned about the increases in taxes because of the increasing appraisal amount. And yet, remember, it also means that many of our largest assets are increasing in value and by decent sized margins. If any of you need comps pulled for tax appraisal protests coming up this April and May, feel free to reach out. Right, I'm coming to you as a person of service that says that we're all concerned. Now, I don't know if anyone's gonna win the protest because they weren't that overappraised, like our values were just going up. Blame the guy that just sold his house for $599,000. By the way, though, when it's time for you to sell, guess what you could potentially sell for? Right? So it sucks while you're living in it, but when you go to sell, no one seems to complain. So just some things to think about. I'll send out the info for Waller and Harris counties next month. Come from contribution. When's the last time the most expensive home in the neighborhood price per square foot sold? Can we agree that's a different house? Price per square foot, not the most expensive house that ever sold, but it was the most expensive price per square foot. Are you tracking that as well? Because I bet that one was not the most expensive price per square foot if it's the most expensive that ever sold. Typically, it's the biggest house that sells for the most, but price per square foot oftentimes is pretty low. Right? It's that cozy house on the cul-de-sac with a massive lot, the view of the water and the pool and the club, you know, right? All the nice things, the outdoor kitchen, but it's a tiny house. Still sells for a whole lot of money. Okay? Are you tracking that? And when you do, have you told them? By the way, when you're a tech person, people like to give you tech gifts. Like an Echo Spot. You all know what an Echo Spot is? It's like an Alexa on steroids, but it can see you and has a camera function, which I thought was pretty cool, and my wife hated it. Because she's like, they're spying on us. I'm like, who is they? She said, doesn't matter, they're spying on us. I said, yes, ma'am, I'll get it out of the house. So, got it out of the house, and then literally 2 weeks later, someone gifted me another one. Right at home, stuck it on the desk. I said, baby, I promise I want him to get out of the box. He's like, I don't even want it in the house. I said, I gotta get rid of it. What should I do? Why don't I give it away? Thinking about the fact that we just set the record, now thinking about the fact that I have this random paperweight on my desk that I should give away. Some of you still have Christmas gifts that are in some random cabinet that you never opened that you could give away, right? Is it about the gift or is it just about the fun of winning the gift? So let's do a giveaway. So I want you to say, hey, we set a record for the price per square foot. By the way, it was somewhere between $100 a square foot and $250 a square foot. Why do you say that? So they don't say 500,000. You're like, per square foot, you idiot. Right? So you give them the boundaries between 100 and 250 square foot. Your job is to guess what that sold price per square foot was. Okay, that was the original post. Winner gets an Amazon Echo Spot. That was the original post. First comment, are we playing Price is Right rules? No lie, it was the first comment. I hadn't even thought about it. I was like, I guess. Edit the post, fine print. I also started thinking, you know what? There's some realtors that live in this neighborhood and they are just as competitive as I am and they will cheat. Realtors, please be nice and sit this one out. Friends and family of realtors, because they also will cheat. Please be nice and don't ask them to look it up. Let's play fair and have fun. I'll let this run for 24 to 36 hours and then we'll see who's closest without going over Price is Right rules. One guess per neighbor. When's the last time you made a post in your neighborhood Facebook group and you had 79 comments? By the way, comment number 2 was the person that made comment number 1 who asked about the Price is Right, right? They said $179. Guess what comment number 3 was? 179.01. I'm not kidding you, you can't make this stuff up. Comment number 4. Why you gotta do me like that? You always do this. Now they are talking trash. There's banter going back and forth. People are guessing 186, 186.01. You son of a 186.02. They're just going at it on the Facebook page, right? Just having fun over an Echo Spot in the price per square foot. But that's literally the interaction. And in the meantime, what are they all remembering that I do? That I haven't told them once that I do? Are you having fun about real estate? Or are you continuing the same exact dialogue, conversation, script, question every single time you meet these people? When you say you have to give away something, what do you have to do? Give it away. So what does that then lead to?
A video of you giving it away.
Well, let's give it away, right? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. If they vote, if they guess, don't they want to know what the price was? And we have a winner. Congratulations, Caitlin Nugent, for winning the You Guessed It giveaway with an exact correct guess of $187 a square foot. This record-setting closing smashed the previous record set back in June of 21 of $177.70 per square foot. The home that closed was one of the fall's more cozy homes, and also featured a massive cul-de-sac lot with pool and hot tub, which certainly helped with the record-setting price per square foot and quick closing. What's the post after this not pictured? Me and Kaylin on her front porch holding the Echo. Take a little selfie, post it up. Congratulations again, Kaylin. Look forward to doing another drawing in the near future. Did I ever do another drawing? I didn't. But again, was it content that you can now think about doing on your neighborhood Facebook group that's not your open house, your new listing, the last closing? Do you know anyone that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Right? Are they walking towards you with a question or away from you because they think you're going to ask them the question? Things to think about. Start getting involved in your neighbors. Next up, 36 touch. I've turned my haven't mets into mets, which means now I go from 12 touches to how many? 33, 36, somewhere in that neighborhood, right? We thought 36 originally was going to be an MRA2. If it ever comes out, now we understand it might be significantly higher, just as a heads up. Okay, they're doing no research. So what might my 36 touches include? The monthly neighborhood nurture. Now, from what I gathered this morning, that's kind of hit or miss in some of your neighborhoods, but if the contact lives in a monthly neighborhood nurture neighborhood, right, next door driven neighborhood, you put them on that. Right? That's one example. Why do I love the monthly neighborhood nurture so much? It is hyper local market content. Yes, sir.
And I get a lot of thank yous for providing that data.
Yeah, did you provide that data? You didn't do that.
Thank you.
Right? You put their address in, and what will Command immediately do if they live in a next door neighborhood? They will assign the neighborhood to that contact. You could go put my address in and I would be assigned, actually I wouldn't because I live in the new section of the Falls, which hasn't made it into next door yet. But if you put in my old address, you would be immediately assigned to a next door neighborhood without even realizing that 2422 Fawn Lake Circle was in the Fawn Lake neighborhood. It would be immediately assigned. Then what can you do? Right? You have no idea what the average price point is in Fawn Lake. You wouldn't even know how to access that. But guess what? Command does. And you can put them on the monthly neighborhood nurture. By the way, Nextdoor is nationwide, 200,000 neighborhoods across the nation. So it's not just in Utah. You've got contacts from that state you used to live in, with people that you still are back home. Put them in your database, make them smarter. Can we get a referral fee from that kind of business where all we have to do is make a couple phone calls and emails and all of a sudden we're getting a 20 to 30% check in the mail later on 2 months down the road, right? So monthly neighborhood nurture, really important email touch. Kimber Walton, I told you, was in here, I wasn't kidding, right? I've been teaching this since COVID. Kimber's had this smart plan in there since then. The good news now is like ever improved, right? You want to talk a little bit about that smart plan?
Yeah, so now, thanks to our technology always evolving, it's published in a 12-month format because we can put more than 5 designs on one smart plan. So for those of you that have been along the journey of part 1, 2, and 3, part
4, 5,
4, 5,
6,
and
7, 8,
6.
9. I had to delete 7, 8,
No,
9.
it's this room
Yeah,
now, about
I'll
the
get that.
chaos.
Yeah.
And yeah, now it is in one, and the one that is close to being published, KW actually was like, hey, if you're gonna just be posting this content, we wanna be like the author of it, right? We wanna kind of partner with you on that, so that's its own, it's a fun journey, but
She says it like it's no big deal. You hear what she said? You know how many agents are in KW? 150, 160, 170, depending on who you listen to, what day it is. Do you know how many have partnered with KW because of the technology that they've created in the smart plan space? You have one in your backyard. Are you using her as a resource? Right? I don't take that lightly because I know how hard it is to get partnered with KWI because I've been partnered with them on a couple of projects. It's no easy feat. And she is partnered with KWI based upon the smart plans that she's created. So please use her on a regular basis. So if you got that in the library, scratch out 9, make it 12, put somebody on that smart plan, they're gonna get evergreen content. Right? So what does that mean? It doesn't matter what season you put them on that smart plan, they're getting content that doesn't say how cold is it in Utah, how hot is it in Texas, right? It's evergreen real estate topics that people will read, they are curious about. Even if they only glance at it for a minute or 2 and then delete it, it's still real estate information that they're going to be interested about. Right? And she's got that all set up. All you have to do is put them on a smart plan. And then for 12 months, you have 12 of your touches automated. If you had them on Kimber's smart plan, you have 12 touches. 2 weeks later, you put them on the monthly neighborhood nurture. Guess what? Now, every 2 weeks for an entire year, they're getting an email from you. You have 24 of your 36 touches already taken care of. So what else might you consider for additional touches? If you got their birthday from Facebook, you can put them on the birthday smart plan. Now, one caveat there, how many of you understand Twilio? Few of you. Twilio is the texting component that you can add to command. It allows you to actually text from a business number that you purchase, right? You purchase credits, the texts go out. It is a separate business line that you are making an investment into purchasing, right? The birthday smart plan text message says, happy birthday. Coming from a phone number that is not in that person's phone. So what do you need to do before you put people on that smart plan? Edit step 4, put your name there. Otherwise you're playing the birthday bandit, right? Ever get a text message on your birthday and it just says happy birthday? And the number says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're like, I don't know who this person is, right? Do you do anything with it? Delete it. Yeah, that's even, I just ignore it, right? Most people, you're like, oh, I'm gonna write back. Who is this? No, you're not. They're not gonna write back. Who is this? You're not gonna have a conversation with them. I've had people that say, oh, I do it on purpose. So they text me back and say, who is this? Okay. So in the birthday smart plan, step 4 is the Twilio text. If you're using Twilio, just go edit that last step and change it so that it has your name on it, right? Give yourself credit. And then finally, the quarterly call plan, right? Your most valuable, the most impactful, the greatest tool you have as a realtor is your phone. Right now, everything I've taught you so far has been based on technology. A lot of it has been automated. You can't automate the phone calls, but you can automate who you call, right? Who you call. Everybody grab your phone right now. Those of you that didn't already have it out, make a phone call. Go ahead. I don't care who you call. Pick up your phone and make a call. Start down. Go. Just kidding. Don't make that phone call. But who did you think about? Right? My dad, my mom, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my wife, my best friend. Who did you not think about? How many of you called the open house lead from this past weekend? How many of you called that Facebook lead from 2 months ago? That's what we call bias. Left to our own devices, we will call more often the people we enjoy talking to. And we will call less often the ones we don't know. So the quarterly call plan is a fantastic way to take call bias out of your lead generation. DTD2 paired with quarterly call, really fantastic plan. DTD2, if you're not familiar with that, Jimmer can get some information out, basically takes the 26-letter alphabet, divides it into 13 two-letter groups, where roughly those letters represent the first initial of the last name of the contacts in your database, and they're staged such that the first 11 groups are about 8 to 9% on average of anyone's database. Don't ask me how they did that research, but it's pretty well proven that that's what's gonna happen.
We
So
have
for
the
the,
one for this year, so we can.
You've already got it.
all of them, yeah.
perfect, there you go, right? So for the first 11 weeks, you're calling A and W. Don't think about it. Their last name starts with A or W, you're calling them. Week 2, B and E. Stop thinking about it. Their last name starts with B or E, you're calling them. D and O, so on and so forth, right? By the time you get to week 12 and 13, I think it's like I and Q, and I can't remember what the last one is, but it's roughly 1 to 2% of your database. So you're trying to get a break. In case you got behind, or you need some catch up, or you just want to take some time off, week 12 and 13, give you a little breather, and then you start back over. If you use the quarterly call plan in conjunction with DTD2, all you need to do is do what you told yourself to do 13 weeks ago. Call those people and then put them on the plan. And then 13 weeks from now, you're gonna get a task that says, call these people. And then if you only do what you told yourself to do 13 weeks ago consistently throughout the year, you'll call your entire database 4 times per year. Otherwise, the number one reason why people don't do lead generation, it's not even what to say anymore. Just, I don't know who to call. And they take time to get ready. I'm fixing to fix it, right? That's a Texan saying, y'all might say that out here, but I'm fixing to make calls. No, you're not. You're either making them or you're not, and you're not. So start making calls. Well, I just gotta get my list ready. If you had the tasks already there, you would just pull up command on your phone and there's all your tasks and you would just start hitting dials, and making the calls. Okay, so that's a great way to get those two together. Quarterly call plan, DTD2, we'll get that to you in the follow-up. We have Mets now, right? We have Mets in our database. We have their name and their phone number and their email. Marty, that looks like the same Facebook ad that you ran last time. Spoiler alert, it is the same Facebook ad that I ran last time. Marty, you spent $10 and you only got 18 people to click on your ad? Is that good or bad? How do you know?
56 cents per click.
Okay, but only 18 clicks. And only 291 people saw the ad. Is that good? What question are you not asking me? How many did I?
Convert.
That's a great question. Not there yet. Is 291 a good number or not? What question do you need to ask me to understand if that's a good number or not? Out of what? How many people did you target? How many people live in a 15-mile radius around Katy, Texas?
336.
Certainly more than 291. So if you only got 291 people to see your ad and you paid for a 15-mile radius around Katy, that is horrible impression rate. Like, you should send Mark Zuckerberg some hate mail on that one, right? However, 291 impressions, if the audience size was 336, 86% of the people that I wanted to see my ad saw my ad. When was the last time you ran an ad and you had an audience that you wanted 100% of them to see it and 86% at least saw? That's where we go from a 15-mile radius around Katy to everyone that lives in the fall at Green Meadows. Well, how'd you manage to pull that off? When you run Facebook ad campaigns, you can create an audience to target. Guess what you need to create the audience? You need the contacts, and you need a tag that tells command that they're a part of that audience. Do you remember the falls at Green Meadows? Why did I have some people falls at, everyone was falls at Green Meadows, and then some were owner 1 and owner 2. Well, falls at Green Meadows, everybody in that audience gets targeted with this ad. So who has the potential to see this ad? Only the people that live in the neighborhood. Now, Marty, you only got 18 clicks. Is that good, bad, ugly, or otherwise? Did I need any clicks? Why?
Creating exposure.
When they click on the ad, what do? They fill out a form, right? I got 0 leads. Why did I get 0 leads? Because I told command I didn't need the leads. Why? Say it louder. I already have their information. I use their information to target them with the ad. Why do I want their information back? I already have it. So in this ad type, what you're telling command is, don't make them fill out the form. I don't need them to fill out the form. I just want them to go directly where I want them to go without having to pay to play. There's no firewall, there's no form. I say, send them to this page and they immediately go there when they click on the ad. Right? Do I need their information? Get some glazing over. I don't know if it's because of the afternoon or if this is a little bit further on. Do I need their contact information? No, because I already have it. Remember, these are METs that we're targeting. If you build an audience with contacts inside command and you have their email or their phone number, you can build an ad in Facebook and says, target these individuals. Now, if Facebook can recognize at least 100 of them, this is a really important nuance. If Facebook can recognize at least 100 of them, the ad will run. And it will target those individuals. Now, how did I learn this the hard way? When this first came out, I built an audience of Keller Williams agents in Texas, outside of Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Corpus, all the surrounding areas. And I ran an ad that said, I will pay you a 33% referral fee. All right, by the way, I'm no longer in production, but I would have paid that to you. Send me referrals. I'll see what I can do with the people we give it to. Okay. But I will pay you a 33% referral fee if you send me referrals in Houston, Texas. And I thought I was gonna be rich. We need a bigger team. We're gonna have so many leads coming in, such a generous split. I'm targeting 1,600 agents. Oh, it's gonna rain like manna from the heavens, right? The ad fails. Doesn't even run. Why? I sourced the information from KW White Pages and I got lazy. I said, all I need is their email. I don't need their phone number. I'll just use their email. How many of you log into Facebook with your @kw.com email address? Anyone? Guess what? You're not alone because there's 1,600 people in Texas that apparently don't log into Facebook with their email from KW, which means Facebook couldn't recognize that. We don't know who this user is because we don't have this email in our database. So that's why the audience didn't make. Now, why would this audience make? Where are the majority of these people coming from? Well, they already came through the Facebook ads that I ran previously. And that actually captured their Facebook email address. So of course it's going to recognize them because the email already came from Facebook. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm targeting people with the same information, but you can update that ad on a regular basis. What page do they go to when they click on this ad? That's correct, but specifically, what page should I tell them to go to?
Neighborhood website or whatever.
Keep going.
Page that you manage.
I don't manage it. Ain't nobody got time for that.
A monthly neighborhood watch for that neighborhood.
You are so close.
Finder.
Right? Did you know that you can search for neighborhoods on your website? So if you go to martymiller.kw.com, whatever your site is, enter here, right? Your KW website. Did you know you can search for neighborhoods? If you didn't, now you know. So you can actually search for your neighborhood as long as it's a next door neighborhood, right? On your site. And what happens when you click on that neighborhood? You land on a page that has statistics about your neighborhood that are updated every 15 minutes. So someone can go to my ad, click on my ad, and immediately go to a page that says the Falls at Green Meadows. Here's how many active listings, how many are under contract. Now, if we weren't in Texas or Utah, I'll tell you how many were sold, but we're in Texas and Utah, so we don't get to share that information. But it'll tell them average price point, average price per square foot, and here are those listings. By the way, here's some other information about the neighborhood. Your second piece of homework, or third or fourth, I've given you a lot of homework, but it's all fun stuff. Go to your website and search for your neighborhood. Then click on it and then look at that page. And then market the heck out of that page by doing things like running Facebook ads, directing people to that page. Does that make sense?
Marty, do you tag them when you have not just their email, but the email that Google will recognize? Do you have any way to indicate that?
I don't know if Facebook's going to recognize that or not.
Uh-huh.
So I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, so the question was, is there any special tag you would add to say that whether that email was valid or not? Unfortunately, when the audience doesn't make, it doesn't tell you why. And it doesn't tell you who. I wish it would come back and say, we recognize these 100 people, we didn't recognize these 100 people. It doesn't do that, we're not there yet. It's a great question. All right? This is just one more touch. It's just one more touch. It's 2 a.m. They can't sleep. They're in the bathroom doing what we do at 2 a.m. when we can't sleep, and they're scrolling on Facebook, and all of a sudden there's Marty. And I wake up at 5 a.m. and I go to the mailbox, and there's Marty. And then at 6 a.m. I check my email, and guess what? There's Marty. Right? And then the next day they get an email, a text message, a phone call. You said McDonald's and In-N-Out, not because it was the cheapest, the best, or your favorite. You said it because you see it every place you go. You said Nike, not because it was really the best running shoe, just the best marketed running shoe. So are you everywhere they look and turn in the best way possible, not ramming it down their throat, but you're just there. If you want to scroll past my ad, that's okay, because you know what you did? You saw it. For that split second, I took up mind share. You can throw away my postcard, that's okay, because for those 2 seconds, I took up that mind share. You can delete my email. You know why? Because for those 2 seconds, you looked at my email, I took up mind share. Everyone's starting to see what this becomes, right? My success in real estate is in direct proportion to the number of people, when they think about real estate, they think about me. Can you say that for the people in your database? Close it up. What's it cost? Land the plane, Marty, put it all together. 1 postcard a month, plus 1 to 2 Facebook ads per month, plus 1 to 2 targeted social posts a month. Not included in here are your emails, right? So we're looking at 1 to 2 emails per month. What do you end up with? A 33 touch. I told you there are 4 pages of MREA. Here's that last one, 147. So what is a 33 touch? It's a systematic marketing and prospecting technique. A 33 touch is just simply a systematic marketing prospecting technique. What does it cost? Right now, Postcard and Command run roughly 64 cents per card. I send out 300, it's actually up to 456. I got some additional addresses, but at the time of this, 355 postcards for $227 a month. Recommended ad spend, $25. You're actually gonna have to up that now, probably to about $50, but you get the gist, right? So $50 to $100 per month. My social posts don't cost me anything, right? The neighborhood stuff, I'm giving away stuff people gave to me. You know there's that kid somewhere, right? Go give it away. The emails don't cost me anything. And once I put them on Kimber's plan and the neighborhood nurture, those are free and automated. Don't cost me any additional time. All in, $35,000 to probably $4,000 as of lately, about $4,000 a month. So what's the ROI? Average price point in our neighborhood, I told you now, is flirting with 600, right about 595, 605. And the majority of the agents that are selling homes in our neighborhood are getting 3%. Doesn't mean it'll stay that way forever, but based upon what we're seeing, they're still getting 3%. So that's about $18,000 in commission. To spend $4,000 to earn $18,000, I'm at roughly 4.5x on that return per year. So how many listings do I need to get that 4.5x return? Just one. You just need 1 to get 4.5x. If you got 2, what was your return? 9x, right? 3. How many listings did I get in the first year that I did this? 1. Man, that's deflating. I sat through this class for an hour and a half, and that jackass only got 1 listing. Yes, and how many did I get in year 2?
5.
4. Because do they forget at the end of year 1 who you are?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No. Get out. They don't forget who you are. You're still the dude with the postcards. You're still the guy that gives away the stuff. You're still the guy that updates them, that stupid corny video with your face on it. You're still that person. They don't forget who you are. Right? When you were born, did you think McDonald's when your mom said hamburger? No, you didn't even know what McDonald's were. Is. But it took time to get there. But now we're all thinking McDonald's, right? Ask a 3-year-old, fast food hamburger. You ask my 4-year-old and she'll say it. If dad is lazy, thinks of McDonald's, mom, right? So those are the things. It's going to take time. And yet continually over time, there is no silver bullet, guys. No magic button. You can't buy your way into being a successful real estate agent, but you can be systematic about it over time. About 2 years in, I get a phone call from a gentleman. He said, "Hey, are you Marty, the realtor of the neighborhood?" So I love it when a phone call starts like that. Yes, sir. How can I help? And he said, hey, there's a house across the street from me. I just wanted to know, can you tell me what it's selling for and is it under contract yet? I said, sure, I guess. What's your address? Gives me the address. Pull it up on our MLS app, get the property. I said, hey, while I do that, tell me, how do you know the house was for sale? Is there a sign in the yard? So yeah, big old sign, some gal's face on the side of it. I said, is there a phone number on the sign? He said, yeah. I said, out of curiosity, why did you call me? And he said, well, this is kind of awkward. And I said, this is gonna be good. Tell me more. He said, the people that live there have a teenage son who drives a lifted pickup truck. And his pickup truck doesn't fit in their garage. It barely fits in the driveway, so he parks it on the street directly behind our driveway. And my wife doesn't do real good about backing up, especially at 6 in the morning when she leaves, if it's oftentimes dark, and she has to do about a 6-point turn to get out of our driveway so she doesn't hit the truck. And so you can imagine how excited we were when we saw the for sale sign going up, because we're praying that truck goes away. I said, okay, I appreciate that. I said, it is listed, it's listed at 525. It just hit the market, been on the market for 2 days. Tell you what, why don't I call you back when it goes under contract? He said, that would be amazing. Put a note, sure enough, still COVID era, goes under contract in like 5 days. Get to call him back and I said, sir, I got great news. So I can't guarantee you there's gonna be a new truck, but I can tell you that truck will be gone on August 1st. That's when that contract ends. It's gonna close, assuming it gets all the way through, and it most likely will in this era. So you're gonna have new neighbors August 1st. Are they calling you instead of the sign, the face that's on the sign, that number that's on the sign? Are they walking towards you to ask you questions about real estate instead of walking away? Last slide, I believe, and you think I would know where to point. Some additional in real life touches that you could add. Everything that you just saw was COVID era. How do I get my agents to remain in production when technically they're scared or can't leave their house? So everything you saw at the very beginning could be done from where? Your house, your office, your desk, right? And it probably won't be enough to hit your goals. It was going to be enough to get them through ideally what that year or so was, and they immediately got back out as soon as they could. What are some additional touches you could do? Open houses. Guys, there's a guy in our market that is holding open houses, and he's currently being sued by not one, but 2 HOAs. Yes.
Yeah.
Being sued by 2 different HOAs. How do you get sued by an HOA? You start holding open houses. That's not enough though. What's at every one of Troy Chase's open houses?
Food truck.
A food truck.
Big old food truck.
And he was on a stage at Mega Camp.
He was.
That's
Right.
worth getting sued by the.
And he's in my market. He's out in League City. He's about 45 minutes away from where I live. Right? Why would the HOA sue him? His open houses are so popular that there's so much traffic, and there've been complaints from neighbors saying there's too much traffic when this person does open houses. We want you to tell him he can't do open houses in our neighborhood anymore. And he basically said, you can't tell me to do that. And now he's involved in 2 different lawsuits, right? And it's because people will continue to follow him. By the way, when he gets out the fact that the HOA is trying to sue him, what do you think happens? Now people show up just in spite. They're like, screw the HOA, we're sending all 3 of our kids in their cars over, right? So how does the food truck work? When you go to one of Troy's open houses, you don't get to go to the food truck until you've done what? Gone inside, and you register, and you walk the house, and then you get a token that's good for whatever the food truck is offering. Now, the food truck is not offering 26 different menu items. It's typically 1 or 2 items, right? They control the cost, because who pays for those food items?
Right.
Troy does. Now, do you think Troy pays retail or cost? Cost. Why would a food truck ever do that? Not make any money off that event? Every single piece of his advertisement has that food truck for that week on the advertisement. And now when I tell you he gets after it on these open houses, he is flyering, he's door knocking, he's social media, he's targeting these people, he's doing circle prospecting, you name it, everyone in the neighborhood knows. For better or worse, everyone knows a Troy Chase open house is coming, right? So are your open houses so big that the HOA wants to sue you? Something to think about. Right? What are some other quarterly or semi-annual neighborhood gatherings you could do? National Night Out, I think it just happened. So you can plan for next year's National Night Out. Trick or trunk, you still got a little bit of time. Right? Our neighborhood is one of those neighborhoods where unfortunately people, or fortunately, whatever, people bring their kids to our neighborhood. Right? So they will actually, we will have a lot of traffic in our neighborhood, vehicle traffic. Because people are looking for places to park on the streets to let their kids out to trick or treat in our neighborhood. It just is what it is. But with that much traffic in the neighborhood, it makes me nervous with 4 little ones. Right? That they're gonna get hit. It's dark, we're all wearing costumes half the time, you can't even see out because you're wearing a mask. Right? So what's that? I didn't sue them, but we talked to the HOA and the HOA was actually supportive to say, why don't we do something for people like you that have these concerns at the clubhouse? And so they're trick or trunk. That's not unique, but they're just doing a event the Saturday before Halloween. Now, my kids are still gonna beg me to take them trick or treating, and I probably will. And yet, it's one of those things where you could be the person that hosts the trick or trunk, right, for your neighborhood. Our market center is actually doing an event now from this story at the market center. And then we're gonna have tables set up in our training room. Each agent can pay for a table, small donation to our charity, $25 to Ballard House Charity. They get a table with all their information. They get to give out candy. They can invite their clients. Anyone can invite their clients. You don't have to pay for a table, but you then get your signage on your table and get to give away candy, right? So something to think about for your market centers. Cool dogs, hot dogs and cool dogs. Brand new to the market, young lady who has a dog says, I need to get to know my neighbors and I need to do an event for the neighborhood. And she has dogs and she wants to know more people that have dogs. So the first time she does it, she says, I'm gonna throw a community event at the neighborhood park. We're gonna have hot dogs, chips, sodas, come out. If you have a dog, bring it. Hopefully it's well behaved. Let's meet other dog owners. That event now is 5 years in. She literally has people showing up that don't even have dogs, just so they can come to the event and meet other neighbors. She now has sponsors from different pet stores that want to be out there because that's how many people are bringing their dogs, right? So think about some sort of event around commonality, right? They don't even have dogs, but they like dogs or want a dog or just want to pet a dog, whatever. So people are showing up to that neighborhood event. What sort of thing could you do? Do you know when people move into your neighborhood? Do you know when people move into your neighborhood?
Usually, yeah.
What do you need to do? Put yourself on an MLS search for your neighborhood. Guys, this guy gives out a lot of homework. Put yourself on an MLS search for your neighborhood with you as the buyer. And then by email, you will get notified every time something happens. What's happening? Someone's selling their house. You can even set up a hot search, most likely, at least in my MLS, for souls. So I get notified when a property in my neighborhood sells. What does that mean? Someone just moved out, which also means what? Someone just moved in. And then I can come by and drop off information about homestead. Because most likely they probably don't get it unless they're moving from within Texas. And I can say, you probably don't need this information, but in case you do, I just wanted to provide you it. I'm one of the neighborhood realtors. Just want to make sure you understood homestead exemption because no one wants to pay the government any more than they have to. Here's a way that you could potentially save 15 to 20% on your property taxes as long as you file this homestead exemption. I'm sure your realtor already gave you this information. They did. Here's my card, right? Am I crossing the sign at that point? Someone last time, aren't you crossing the sign? Isn't that an ethics violation? Do they still have a relationship with that realtor once they close?
No.
Okay. By the way, neither do you. So make sure you're providing the homestead exemption or someone in this room will be. Okay, so some things to think about. Finally, these digital connections, why are we doing this? I've said it multiple times. We are looking to get in closer emotional proximity to the person across the kitchen table. You know me. You know my kids. You know people that I know, right? You know that I do all the events. You know that I provide you with the homestead exemption 4 years ago when you moved in. You remember me. We are in closer emotional proximity. No offense, you've never met her. So who are you going to list with? Right? Closer emotional proximity. The comic says, let's go back to meeting online. You're much better looking there. That is my real cell. That is my real email. Like I said at the beginning, it's 2 hours of your life you're never getting back. That's the hard reality, right? You got two choices at this point. That was fun. That was cool. He's okay. Or I'm going to go do something. It doesn't have to be everything. Go do one thing. I gave you guys multiple pieces of homework. I gave you multiple opportunities. Go form the Facebook group, right? Go create the directory. Go give away that item in the kitchen cabinet that you didn't want anyway. That's probably still in the original box. Right, whatever that is, but go do something. No one wants to sit in a class for 2 hours, learn a lot, but not actually take action. Go take action. Any questions, thoughts, comments, ahas, concerns? Love to hear a couple before we continue.
Thank
The
you.
heck on out of here. You're welcome, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
My aha is that my database is really rich and I'm not utilizing it right. Needs to be more of it.
Specifically, what's the first thing you're gonna do?
Tags,
Tags,
tags.
okay? I like it. Get in and start adding some
I'm
tags.
gonna start the nets.
The Mets, okay? Start with your Mets and start tagging. I like it. Who else?
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Question.
If you live in a neighborhood where there are homes, townhomes and condos,
Sure.
but the Facebook page, involves everybody. I'm just targeting the houses, also targeting condos and townhomes.
Can you sell a condo or condo in a condo?
Yeah.
I'm just adding, I'm not trying to be smart ass. Like you can be the listing agent on this.
Yeah.
Is there any difference between a house and a townhome? Other than maybe the price point? Heck yeah, all day, price on Sunday. Might be even easier, right? Because they're in closer proximity.
Yeah. It's all.
Yeah, so if you're doing any sort of like door knocking or events, they're all right there. Hard for you not to see the event. I'm posting right there and then we're all right here. So yeah, might even be a better community.
Would you get two different sets of stats, so like the condos versus the townhomes?
Potentially, yeah, I mean, it depends on if it's a next door neighborhood, if you're manually pulling it, but yeah, you might get some difference there. Might have to split that out, some of the price points, if there's a dramatic difference. Yeah, what else?
I'm just gonna add a really quick, the retargeting Facebook.
Yes,
Obviously, that was amazing, because at first when I saw the slide, I was like, they're only talking about what's this lesson he's about to say.
right?
That lesson to me on that slide was, are you defining, or have you already told yourself a story about something? So I saw that and I saw the word retargeting. I know there's some of you that have a story about retargeting, where the only retargeting that works is the XYZ software that's $1,500 a month. Because I've had the CRM combos with all of you, right?
Sure.
So what am I telling myself about that? I just redefined retargeting is I have the email that is their correct email that's directly attached to their Facebook. And I'm layering that messaging.
Correct.
I'm going back around and being like, hey, I'm still here. So what on that list that we're gonna send out?
Yep.
Are you telling yourself a story about exactly how it does or doesn't work? And how can you re-engage with the strategy?
By the way, you can do that retargeting, not just with tags for people in a neighborhood. So if you're a prolific open house host, and in your database right now is 300 people that over the last 2 years have come through one of your open houses. Why are you not running ads about your open house, targeting people that have come through your open houses? Who's more likely to come through an open house? Someone that's never been and doesn't understand how they work and doesn't really want to, or people that have actually gone through it? Right? So now I'm creating a tag that just says open house visitor, and I'm gonna run an ad and I'm gonna target all the people with that tag on it. Right? I know everyone that lives in this neighborhood, I'm doing a little bit of farming here, but as long as I can get 100 email addresses that Facebook recognizes for this neighborhood, I could run ads targeting that neighborhood. Now I've got 100 people over here. As long as I've got 100 emails that Facebook will recognize, I can target this group. Whatever the group is, right? I know 100 snowboarders. And this property is within walking distance of a lift. I don't know if that actually exists, but it could, right? I'm gonna target all my snowboarders or whatever that is. You see how, right? When you think about retargeting, it's really just running ads on an audience of people whose information you have, as long as 100 or more of them are recognized.
And the other thing I wanted to just quickly add, so I'm going to work with the market center tech trainers and get like the follow-up of these strategies on our training calendars as far as the workshop style, because I know there's probably a few I need help, I have questions. And I also am like directly taking you to the airport, so.
Yeah.
I wanted to also say like, that's why I'm gonna be pushing you on.
No, and I would love
Gotta
to
get
take
on the
questions,
site.
but that's why my email and phone number is up
Yeah.
there. Email me, text me, whatever it may be, but we do not get to the airport, I gotta get home to my babies. What's that?
You said that you're not gonna answer.
No, I said, I'm not gonna answer your phone call, but I will answer your text and your emails. Fair?
Thank you so much.
Guys, thank y'all. Have a good evening. Great.